Welcome to Political Hitman on Israel News Talk Radio. Want to connect with Howie? Email him at howie@israelnewstalkradio.com. Now here's your host, Howie Silbiger.
So, I get on here and express my opinion. I do it because I feel that expressing an opinion is a fundamental right. We should all have the right to express how we feel. And those who don't like what we say could feel free to turn off their radios, turn off their televisions, not listen to anything I have to say or any political commentator has to say. We revel in the Western world in these freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. And yet, in the last 15 years, we have seen the freedoms slowly dwindle away. We've seen freedom of expression disappear. We've seen laws, we've seen activists, we've seen zealots trying to suppress people who are speaking words that they don't agree with. When I was growing up, there was an expression. The expression was, we could agree to disagree. That doesn't exist anymore. What we have today are radicals, zealots, who believe that their opinion is the only opinion and the only one allowed to be expressed. And anyone who expresses an opinion that doesn't coincide with what they believe in is a Nazi and deserves to be destroyed. Earlier today, Charlie Kirk, an outspoken conservative advocate in the United States, a young man, 31 years old, was murdered on a university campus. Now, his murder only got noticed because he is a very, very popular TikToker and a very popular founder of an organization called Turning Point USA, and a very popular conservative. He was shot while speaking on a university campus. He wasn't shot because he was a threat. In fact, he was pro open dialogue. He loved having discussions and debates with people. He loved expressing his opinion, and he loved hearing other people's opinion. He got shot, and they've arrested somebody, but no motive has been announced yet. But one could imagine that he got shot and killed because he expressed an opinion that somebody didn't agree with. When we start negating other people's opinions, when we start pushing people away, when we start calling people Nazis and genocidal maniacs when they express an opinion, what we do is we build a culture of hatred. We build a culture of violence. We build a culture of people living in a bubble and virtually hating the people on the other side. That always leads to violence and death and assassinations. America today became a third world country where somebody who was an outspoken political speaker was murdered for his political speech. That hasn't happened in a very long time. That happens in the third world all the time. So we are living in a time where it is dangerous to express your opinion. It is dangerous to speak. It is dangerous to express an opinion that is contrary to whatever the media is demanding people accept. It is dangerous to speak an opinion on a topic that is a little controversial, let's say. Because you never know what lunatic out there is going to come and shoot you. and kill you in front of 1,400 people. You just don't know who's listening and who is getting upset and who's coming to murder you. It's a very scary prospect for those of us who work in the public, those of us who work in media, those of us who work in expressing opinions, whose job it is to express an opinion. It gets extremely scary. But we continue to do it. We continue to do it knowing the risk. We continue to do it because we believe, fundamentally believe, that everybody has the right to express an opinion. I've been doing radio for over 30 years. Just about 30 years. And my policy has always been, in those 30 years, that I will listen to anybody, and I will bring anybody onto the show to discuss politics with me, regardless if I agree with them or not. We don't have to agree on everything. We don't have to agree on anything. But a rational human conversation never hurts. I learn a lot from the people who disagree with me, and I hope that they learn a lot from me. And having conversations, in general, expands your knowledge, expands your horizons. When we start cutting down the enemy, when we start killing the people that we don't agree with, we are building a dumber society. We're building a society that doesn't know how to talk to each other. Now, I believe strongly that this culture is fostered by social media. Social media created this culture. In the last 10 years, social media has banned certain talk, has limited people's right of expression. I was taken off TikTok. We were posting up quotes and clips from the show. And I was taken off TikTok because I kept saying the word murder. It seems like a ridiculous reason to be taken off an entire platform, to be banned from a platform. But they banned me because I used the word murder instead of saying something stupid like schmurder. But that's the way it is. We accept censorship. And we legitimize censorship, thus allowing whack jobs with guns who believe that you're speaking against what they believe shouldn't be said to take a shot at you. In the 30 years that I've been doing radio and shows, I've only been threatened once. It was a caller who called maybe 15, 20 years ago on the air and told me that he was going to find me after the show and take care of me. And I remember this clearly. Who forgets a death threat? You remember them clearly. I remember clearly, and I asked my producer at the time to track the number, to trace the number, and he did. And we found out who the guy was, and we called him on the air. And we asked him, I said to him, hey, you just threatened my life on the air. Let's talk about it. Let's have dialogue. There must be a reason you feel that way, that you want to do something to me. Let's talk about it. Let's figure this out. And we had a conversation. I know it's probably a stupid move. I know it's probably something I shouldn't have done. But life goes on, and I tried. Now, of course, he never attacked me. It was all just fluff. It was just him talking, letting out his frustration. But at the end of the day, you don't even know. You don't know if the person letting out their frustration is actually going to come and hurt you. And it's the chance you take every single day you get on the air. Every single day you show your face in public. And we take the chance, day in and day out. Because I know a lot of people like me strongly believe that our voices count too. That nobody's going to quiet me down. I'm going to be able to speak, and I'm going to continue to speak as long as my mouth works. Doesn't mean that you don't worry about what's happening. Just means you're not going to be scared by it. I don't live my life fearing haters. I don't live my life fearing violence. At the same time, I don't want it to happen to me either. So I remember Charlie Kirk as the guy who was known as the nice guy. The guy who's just trying to speak his truth. And the guy who was mowed down in the prime of his life for expressing an opinion. It's revolting. It's sad. It's disgusting on where the world has gone and how much America has fallen. I'm Howie Silbiger. This is Political Hitman on Israel News Talk Radio. Let's move on. So Israel attacked Qatar. They attacked Hamas in Qatar. They didn't actually attack the country. It wasn't waging war on the country. They attacked Hamas leaders who were hiding out in Qatar in a targeted attack, taking out these Hamas leaders. Now, Qatar, of course, objected to Israel bombing their sovereign state, and I could understand them doing that. But Israel was condemned by Western countries, France, Canada, England, the same countries that said that they were going to recognize a so-called Palestinian state this month at the United Nations General Assembly. So, I'm just trying to understand because I really don't get it. And I'm just trying to wrap my head around what's really going on here. The genocidal murderers, the ones who admit to being genocidal murderers, Hamas, they live streamed their genocidal attack on Jews, attacked Israel on October 7th, 2023. They killed a whole lot of Israelis, and then they kidnapped a whole lot more Israelis and took them to Gaza and held them hostage in terror tunnels. And Israel is the bad guy. I'm trying to understand this. I don't get how this happened. How the tables got turned on Israel so badly that Israel became the bad guy in a situation where they were the victim. I don't get how Jews could be murdered, could be massacred, could be beheaded and raped. And the world stands behind the rapists. When we talk about moral rot in the world, when we talk about the fall of society, this is what we are talking about. When we talk about the disgustingness of society, this is what we talk about. When you think, and just think about it for a second, that people are allowed to run through the streets and yell globalized intifada, which essentially means let's exterminate the Jews around the world. It's not much different than yelling Hitler didn't finish the job. Let's rekindle the Holocaust. That's essentially what you're yelling. And they're allowed to do this in Western society. And nobody really takes offense to it. The Jews do, but other than that, nobody else really takes offense to it. It seems like the world is running away. That the moral fiber of the world has disappeared. Now, we've talked about this before. This is not a new concept. That morality in the world doesn't exist anymore. That morality in the world disappeared the second you started dismantling the family unit, the second you made religion into a curse word, the second you took God out of the lives of people, of children, the second you separated church from state, but not a political separation, a complete separation, you have created a vacuum where nothingness has come in. And when I mean nothingness, I mean people who believe in nothing and who contribute nothing to society are destroying the morality of society. It is not shocking to think that there are people out there who really do not believe that anybody should have the right to defend themselves, to fight back. Oh, wait, let me correct that. Because the left-wing movements believe that everybody should have the right to fight back. The feminists, the blacks, That's what they believe. Only the Jews aren't allowed to fight back. Only the Jews, when they're victimized, become the villains. There's a new TikTok running around now, a new viral TikTok running around now, of a bunch of people saying, "Oh, Israel's committing a genocide in Gaza. It's a complete blood libel. It's completely false." But that's what they're saying. And not only are they running a blood libel against Gaza, but on top of that blood libel, they're claiming 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, and that didn't happen. 6 million Jews did not die in the Holocaust. That's what this viral TikTok is saying. And there are other people, idiots out there, who are responding to this and trying to prove that 6 million people died in the Holocaust. I will be extremely clear, and I can't be clearer than this, in my opinion on this. I do not believe that Jews should ever lower themselves to having to defend the indefensible. I don't think we should have to defend something that we shouldn't have to try to prove something that's an undeniable truth, is really what I'm trying to say here. The Holocaust is an undeniable truth. The fact that the Nazis committed a genocide against the Jews in the 1940s is an undeniable truth. The fact that Israel was declared a state by the United Nations, a legal state, is an undeniable truth. The fact that Israel was attacked by their neighbors and gained land in a defensive war is an undeniable truth. The fact that Israel has more Arabs living in their population and taking part as full members of society in their population is an undeniable truth. The fact that there is no apartheid in Israel, that Israeli Arabs work as judges and as nurses and as doctors and as teachers, is an undeniable truth. And so when people start the conversation with, "Oh, you Israel, you colonialist," there's nothing to talk about. I always tell them, when someone comes to me and comes to me with some stupid comment like that, my response is always the same. Get an education and come talk to me again. Why don't you go look up apartheid, read about it, and then we can have a conversation. Until you understand what apartheid was, there's nothing to talk about. Until you understand what genocide means, go look up the definition, there's nothing to talk about. Until you understand what the word famine means, there's nothing to talk about. I don't play in to these people's fallacies, to these people's fantasies. I believe that if I'm going to have a conversation with somebody regarding the Middle East, regarding Israel, the conversation cannot start with Israel's an illegitimate state. You want to start the conversation like that, it's a non-starter. There's nothing to talk about. Why am I going to waste my time talking to somebody who doesn't believe that I have legitimacy? And just last week, we saw this video of it. Go look it up. There's video of it. You saw a famous band, Coldplay, had a concert, and they pull up all the time. They're pulling up audience members onto stage, and they pull up these two women onto stage, and they say to these two, "Well, where are you from?" And the woman says, "I'm from Israel." And everything just stops, and the guy looks at her, and he says to her, "Well, you're from Israel, okay? Yeah." And he's really struggling to try to come up with some kind of positive word to say to a fan who comes from Israel. And then he says, "We recognize your humanity." Oh, really? You recognize her humanity? You know when the last time people said that Jews were subhuman? It's when the Nazis called Jews subhuman and sent them to the gas chambers and to the concentration camps, gas chambers, and crematories. That was the last time Jews were called unhuman, not inhumane, but unhuman, subhuman. It's coming back. This musical artist, I don't even know who they are, this musical artist, Coldplay, the lead singer of this band, referred to two of his fans as subhuman. He recognized that they're the same humans as everyone else. Oh, how nice of him. Oh, Jews don't have horns either. Somebody should point that out to him. This is the world we're living in, where Jews are considered subhuman, where the victim, the Jewish victim of October 7th, is now considered a pariah as, they are genocidal maniacs, not defenders. If a group of people broke into the United States from Mexico, which they have, but let's say, hypothetically speaking, if a group of people broke into the United States from Mexico and committed an attack on a southern Texas town and murdered 1,200 people and then took another 300 people hostage, how do you think the United States would react to that? Do you think they would lay down their arms and say, oh, well, the hostages are taken, nothing we could do about it? Do you think what do you think they would do? I think they would level Mexico until they got their people back. They would kill the Mexican leaders. They would just carpet bomb the place until they got their hostages back. Because that's what any normal country would do. Now, let's say Mexico had been lobbing missiles into innocent civilian populations for 15 years before the genocidal attack. Do you think America would have allowed them to lob missiles into their civilian population for so long without doing something to stop them? Israel did. I mean, they tried once or twice, but it didn't really work. They didn't really stop them. Do you think America would allow that to happen in Texas? Bombs just flying in from Mexico, landing indiscriminately in the middle of Texas? I don't think they would. I don't think any country in the world would allow that. But Israel lived with it for 15 years before Hamas decided to break into the country and kill everybody. And Israel are the genocidal maniacs? Really? Israel are the genocidal maniacs? It just seems to me like the left is just yanking words out of the dictionary. Oh, we think we might know what this word means. Let's use it here. It might rile people up. And the most ridiculous part of the whole thing is that the Western media has picked up on it and has accepted it and has run with it and has decided that this is what it is. And they've allowed, and Western governments have allowed, people to go into the streets and scream and yell and insult and threaten with very little repercussions. Globalized intifada. That's the main chant we hear all over the place. Globalized intifada. Imagine if the KKK got in the middle of the street in some Canadian city or some American city or some British city or some French city and started yelling, "Lynch the blacks." How do you think that would go over? I don't think it would go over very well. I don't think the governments would allow that to happen. And I really don't believe, not even for a second, that the people would allow that to happen. I believe that people are good in essence. And it shocks me to the core that for 2 years now, people have been able to stand in the streets and yell, "Slaughter the Jew." And governments have not stopped them. And the general population has remained quiet and hasn't opposed them. It's shocking to the core. It's shocking to the core that Israel could take out Hamas leaders in Qatar who have been hiding Hamas for years. And they could blow up in a targeted attack Hamas leaders. And the leaders of Western democracies condemn Israel. They don't applaud them for getting the scum off the street. They don't applaud them for taking out terrorists. They condemn them. Doesn't make sense to me. It's just not right. the world is upside down. The terrorists have won. They have taken the governments of Western civilizations. It's amazing when I think about it, and when I analyze it and I look at it and I think about it. It's absolutely amazing. Western society has been hijacked by terrorists. I never thought I'd live to see the day that terrorists are controlling Western governments. But here we are. And who's paying the price? Western civilization, that's for sure. Democracy, that's for sure. And Jews. There is no other religion in the world that has to have guards and security and billions of dollars worth of security in and around their buildings. No other religion in the world has to do that. No other religion in the world has constant threats on children in schools, schools being shot, synagogues being burned. No other religion in the world. No other religion in the world faces constant threats and insults and accusations day in and day out as they walk through the streets and live their everyday life. No other people in the world have dealt with bombs falling on their heads indiscriminately into residential neighborhoods for decades. It's just not acceptable. But it's the life that Jews have to live, even in free and democratic societies. And when a Jew like me gets on a show like this and expresses my opinion, which may not be the same opinion as a federation, which may not be the same opinion as United Jewish Appeal or B'nai B'rith or Anti-Defamation League, I may differ in my opinion. And I get on and I express my opinion. I'm taking my life into my own hands. And this is the scary part of doing what I do. It's the scary part of being on a show, a popular show. It's very scary. I'm not saying I'm scared. I'm just saying it's scary. If you think about the repercussions. And once again, I go back to Charlie Kirk, who was killed for expressing his opinion. And you have to wonder, are you next? Are you in somebody's list? I hope not. But you never know. So what's the solution to all this? How do we get around all this? How do we solve this problem? It's going to be a difficult reverse. It doesn't take very long to rile people up and to get people to a point where division is so great that people feel they have to kill each other in order for their opinion to survive. That killing somebody will silence their ideas doesn't really work, because the ideas that Charlie Kirk was espousing when they shot him dead today isn't necessarily the same opinions, isn't necessarily different from opinions that other people are expressing. So the ideas that he was expressing don't disappear with the person. So killing the person is not killing the message. But at the same time, killing the person is taking a father away from his two children, taking a husband away from his wife, taking a friend away from their friends. It's unjust. I'm Howie Silbiger. This is Political Hitman on Israel News Talk Radio. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back again next show. Have a good one.